Amidst the scorching savanna, a lone Homo erectus warrior trudges on, carrying the survival of his entire tribe. Every step he takes now is merely the inertia of survival. His robust body sways as if about to collapse. He stopped. His empty eyes swept across the cracked horizon, but every direction led only to despair. Amidst the yellow, scorched land, his lean and rugged figure stood out like a shadow of hunger about to fade. The sun blazes, his breath is scorching. His trembling hand touched his... He forced himself to stand again, his back hunched under the weight of hunger and thirst, dragging his feet across the dead earth. His lips cracked open, he tried to lick at an imagined hint of moisture, but only tasted blood and dust. His throat convulsed unconsciously, swallowing only dry harshness. His deep-set, bloodshot eyes stared into the distance. Amidst the utter exhaustion, the instinct to continue living still flickered. His gaze swept across the empty horizon, filled with despair. But a faint ray of hope still compelled him to search.
The long thirst turns the whole body into a cracked cell. Even though my eyes are open from exhaustion.
Even though his eyes blurred from exhaustion, the instinct to survive still compelled him to scan every patch of ground, hoping for a chance to live.
Use your bare hands to scratch the burning soil, groping the deep hidden roots. My hands are covered in dust and sand, still digging frantically.
His hands, stained with blood, covered in dust and sand, still dug frantically.
A light touch on the dry earth, his fingers found a tiny root. A faint ray of hope had just risen amidst despair. In his hands, the muddy root became a treasure. That tiny thing was the chance to live another day.
This is the only life I can swallow right now. Teeth grinded against the hard, dry roots. Each bite is painful, but you have to keep going. I close my eyes to the dry ground. Even though it's hard to swallow, the roots keep you alive. Bite off the last root he chewed in silence. A poor meal, but it's all I have. When the chewing died down, only heavy breathing. He looked at the bird in his ultimate solitude. You know, at the last root with your survival instincts. A little fragile energy to keep getting up. Sitting quietly in the burning prairie, you're gone. Only the winds howl, reminded. Nature has no mercy. You are my life. Just like grains of sand before cruel prehistory. After the meal, I stood up. In the sun, his eyes suddenly stopped at a strange spot in the distance. He squinted and covered his hands in front of his forehead, trying to get through the heat. Something unusual out there. It can be dangerous. It can also be life between hunger and fear. The survival instinct speaks up. You start to move on, slowly but definitely closer to the smell of earth. The smell of stone, the smell of death mixed in the scorching air. His hand clasped the spear. Every step is a wake-up call. After the form of dry dust, the strange shape gradually became apparent. I stopped half a step. Instincts both urge and warn. In front of you is a giant egg. Smooth shade under the sun. The eyes that used to be clouded with fatigue are now bright. In you the hunger, hope and fear, merged into a primal frenzy. You lower yourself, moving like a predator lean into the territory. Others ignore all hesitation. You push the rock down the eggshell. That moment I was no longer a passerby. It's the trespassers of cracked eggshells. The thick liquid flows out on the dry ground. In the middle of a hungry desert. It's the closest thing to a stream of life. He went to get the drinking pod and devoured every drop of the paste. There's only one truth in that racine. Survive at all costs. First time in days. Your face is relaxed. Almost a vague smile. He rushed the fluid on his lips. Enjoy a rare moment of peace. But the peace breaks in a split second from a distance. The hyena's laughter tore apart. Dry or burning. They appear one by one. Crawled out of the yellow burning grass. The whole flock closed in a circle. My eyes don't leave you. The muzzles are wide open, fangs revealed in the midst of wild laughter. You turn around constantly, try not to leave any space. You roar, dancing the spear in front of him like a wall of despair. 7 animals step by step try to wait for the moment you open.
Hunger made them impatient. They surged forward like a wave of fangs. He responded with desperate thrusts.
In the midst of chaos, the ground suddenly trembled slightly beneath her feet. You and the hyenas stopped, feeling that something giant is waking up. From the darkness behind the cliff, a giant body creeping out. Flakes glowed in the scorching sun. The ancient shepherd's cold eyes swept through it all.
The ancient pythons.
They claim this is their territory. The shepherd came like lightning. He whipped his body at 7 screaming hyenas. In the clouds of dust, the fight for survival between predators.
Amidst the chaotic dust, a hyena was swallowed whole by the python's jaws. Its last scream died in the damp, cold darkness. Witnessing imminent death, the hunter cried out in despair, abandoning everything and fleeing headlong like a wounded beast. Amidst the scorching midday, the footsteps of Homo erectus pounded the ground, while the colossal python's shadow slithered close behind him.
I saw the baobab tree standing tall. He rushed to grab his hands in a rough shell and tried to climb higher.
But death did not stop. The heavy snake boil around the tree trunk.
The cold, muscular coils wrapped tightly around the hunter's body, turning him into a small branch within the embrace of a living mountain of flesh.
Each squeeze was a breath cut short. His eyes bulged, his throat dry, his chest had no room for air to enter.
A tear rolled down a dusty cheek.
Just as life nearly faded, a dazzling light tore through the air.
Just when life is about to die.
He looked up, and the world collapsed. A sleek, metal mass.
In the flowing light, the form of a strange entity gradually appeared. Not beast, not human.
It does not belong to this land. Is quietly descending before the eyes of the first Homo erectus.
Freed from the coils, the hunter fell freely from the high branch. In the thin, the eyes of Homo erectus darted between the strange hand and the cracked land around him. For the first time,
a burst of cool energy. Tear the order in 2. That nature has ruled for millions of years. Body blanket giant violent convulsions. And then it's off the tree, falling to the ground. The ruler. The food chain here suddenly becomes flesh, immobilized for release from the cycle. The hunter fell free from the high. In the thin dust, he opened his eyes. I saw a glowing figure standing in front of me. One words that entity hands towards him. Simple gestures that carry invitation. Leaving the wild world. He always thought it was everything. Homo erectus eyes, looking back and forth between strange hands. And the land cracked around me. For the first time he realized this place is just a small corner of the vast universe. Every step towards the light. The Homo hunter erectus stepped into the light. The rough body gradually fades in the aura. His era is over. A new chapter of the silent human race open up in the sky.